Hello, welcome to lesson 26. This is the last formal lesson in our beginning bridge syllabus. Today's subject is bidding slams, and we're going to concentrate on bidding slams in suit contracts. So what we'd like to cover is firstly just a recap of what is a slam and why we should bid them. Then we're going to recap some slams that we've already done, where we've already looked at bidding slams in no trump contracts. And you might remember that from the lessons on strong two club openings and the strong two no trump opening. Um, and then we're also going to look now at how you can spot as a player that a slam might be possible. In the second part of the video, we're going to go on and learn a new tool called the Blackwood Convention. That's a very popular and fairly straightforward convention that lots and lots of players use to help them bid slams. And then I'll also be looking at a piece of extension learning later on, probably part 3 of this series, which will look at some limitations of Blackwood and why it's not necessarily the best way to bid slams. So I should add that bidding slams is a complicated and difficult subject, and many players struggle to identify when slams are possible. That's quite normal. But some of the situations that we're going to have in our lesson, we're going to have some fairly straightforward situations where it might well be possible that you can make either 12 or 13 tricks, and therefore we should look to try and bid a slam. And it'll be a lot of fun as well. So it's always quite rewarding to bid a slam, bid your first slam and make it, and we'll get some practice of that in the lessons. So let's look at what is a slam. Well, firstly, there's something called a small slam, which is when you bid and make a contract at the 6th level. So that's a 6th level contract in a suit, 6 clubs, 6 diamonds, 6 hearts, 6 no trumps, or even in 6 no trump as well. If you do that, if you've bid and made your contract at the 6th level, you have achieved a small slam. You will need to make 12 tricks to achieve that, which is quite a difficult task to do. But the rewards for it are huge and well worth investigating. For a start, for scoring a slam, you will achieve at least a 500 bonus points extra over those who didn't bid the slam. If you're vulnerable, you'll actually get 750 bonus points. You'll also score the game bonus that you'll have because you will have achieved a game contract as well, and you'll get all the points required for 6 tricks. So you'll score quite heavily here, and it's really important when we play, particularly when we play duplicate bridge. If we get a hand that is particularly good and there's a chance of making a slam, then the pairs that score the slam contract will score much better than those who don't bid and make the slam. So it's well worth investigating, and it will improve your scores when you are playing competitive duplicate bridge. So that's a small slam. They're fairly, they're fairly rare, but they do come up. A bit rarer are Grand Slam contracts. So a Grand Slam is a contract at the 7 level. And in this case, you can play in 7 of a suit, or of course 7 no trump. The bonuses are even higher, but of course you need to make 13 tricks to make which is all 13 tricks. You cannot afford to lose even a single trick. And the points would be, for example, if you were non-vulnerable, you would score 1,000 bonus points plus the game bonus, and you would also achieve the points for making and bidding 7 tricks as well. So again, the rewards are huge, but obviously the risk here is that if you go for a Grand Slam and you lose even 1 trick, then you failed and your opponents will get a plus score. But it's well worth looking for the opportunity when these things come up. And we'll have a look at a few examples in our lesson. We'll play plenty of hands that can bid slam contracts. Just a quick recap. We looked at slams with balanced hands earlier in the syllabus. We covered them in lesson 22, and we also bid some slams in lesson 23. And with balanced hands, we typically end up in a no trump contract, a no trump slam. So here, if you wanted to bid 6 no trump, then typically the guideline that we've been taught is that if there are a combined 33 or more high card points between the partnership, that's normally enough to have a very good chance of making 12 tricks played in no trumps. So in that situation, if you've got 33 high card points available or more, there's very high likelihood that a 6-no trump small slam is available to you. And we have looked at examples of bidding those. We'll just recap a couple in a moment. If you wanted to make a grand slam in no trumps, the guidance is that you really need to have a combined 37 or more high card points to have a good chance of making 13 tricks in no trumps. That doesn't come up so often, but you certainly will come across situations where 6-no trump is likely. So let's look at some examples. This is stuff that we learned in lessons 22 and 23 when we opened with strong balanced hands. So the first example here, West has got 20 high card points. It's a balanced hand. And as we learned back in lesson 22, with anything between 20 and 20 high card points, and a balanced hand, West would open that with 2-no trump. Now let's look at the East hand here. They've got 14 high card points. So East should immediately be doing some arithmetic, working out that West has got at least 20 high card points and possibly a maximum of 22 high card points in their hand. So if you add 14 to 20, you get to 34. So it's very likely that there are enough points available for a small slam in no trumps, because we've got more than the 33 that the guidelines tell us. So here East would simply bid 6-no trump. Now East knows also that there can't possibly be enough points for a grand slam, because again, even if West was maximum for their bid and had 22 high card points, 22 plus 14 is only 36, and that wouldn't be enough for a grand slam. So East should jump straight to 6-no trump. Here's another example. West has got an even stronger hand. It's a balanced hand. They've got 24 high card points. And we learnt back in lesson 23, whenever you've got a hand of more than 23 high card points, you always open it with a special opening 2 clubs. That just says to partner, I've got a really strong hand, don't pass. Here's East's hand. They have got 9 high card points. They've also got a fairly balanced hand. They've got no real interest in the major suits either, which is important here. So firstly, East just replies 2 diamonds. That effectively says, partner, I know you've got a strong hand. Tell me more about your strong hand. It doesn't say an awful lot about East's hand, and it doesn't actually say anything about the diamond suit. It's a conventional bid. Now, West now rebids with 2-no trump, showing a balanced hand and at least 23 or 24 high card points. And this is the point now where East can do some more arithmetic. Okay, so East knows that with 23 or 24 high card points in West's hand and 9 in their own hand, there is a chance that there may be 30, 32 or 33 combined high card points. So there may be enough for a slam in no trumps. East simply bids 4-no trump here. That's called a quantitative bid. We did come across this before. I probably didn't use the term quantitative bid, but it's a quantitative 4-no trump bid. What it asks is, West, it says, are you minimum or maximum for your bid? If you are minimum, let's pass and just play in 4-no trump. And if you are maximum, let's go on and bid 6-no trump. So West looks at their hand. They've got 24 high card points. They would accept the invitation here and bid 6-no trump. Let's look now at slams playing in suit contracts. And what we find is when we're playing in suit contracts, we've often got unbalanced hands. And that often means that we can make slams with far fewer points than would be required for making a 6-level slam in no trumps. So often we can see that we can get away with something like 31 high card points as a good guide for an unbalanced hand if you're playing a small slam in a suit contract. If your hands are really unbalanced, we can often make slams with far fewer points than that. But what's important here is a good trump fit between the hands and lots of what we call distribution. And distribution really, or shape as some bridge teachers would call it, is things like having long suits. So that would be both maybe a long trump suit or also a long side suit where you can take lots of tricks by running off your side suit. And things like voids and singletons. Voids and singletons are really important. They give you shortages in some of the other suits are really helpful. And why is that? Well, because we can use our trumps to ruff the opponent's cards. So even if we haven't got lots of horsepower in terms of high card points, we can trump their winners in those suits. So to give you an example in the extreme, this is the most extreme possible example of a distributional hand. Suppose by some freak of mathematics you were dealt this extreme hand. Now this hand is 13 cards, it's the entire spade suit, it's all 13 spades. If you had this hand, even if your opponent had nothing, even if your partner had absolutely nothing at all, and so your opponents would actually have 30 high card points between them, and you have just got 10 high card points here for your ace, king, queen and jack of spades. But if you had this hand, you would be able to bid 7 spades and make a grand slam in a spade contract. And you'll do that obviously because no matter what cards they play, you can ruff and you can trump them, and of course all your spades will be winners because spades would be trumps. So this shows that actually you could make a grand slam in the limit here, in the most extreme example, with only 10 high card points between you and your partner. Now clearly you're not going to get a hand as extreme as that, but that does illustrate the point that extreme hands and lots of length in long suits and being void in other suits all contribute to making to the possibility of being able to bid a slam contract in a suit. Let's now look at some bidding sequences that indicate to the partnership that a slam might be possible. The first one is if your partner opens 2 clubs and you've got a positive response. So let's think about what that means. A 2 club opening, of course, is the strongest opening we can make. It says I've either got 23 or more high card points, or perhaps I've got a hand where I know that I can make game in a particular suit contract. So if you are responding to your partner's 2 club opening and you've got at least 8 high card points and a good 5 card suit of your own, then if there is a trump fit between you, and it's likely there might be, then there's a very high chance of there being a slam possible. So let's look at this first situation here. Openers' hands on the left here, they've got 24 high card points, so any hand over 23 high card points is automatically opened with a 2 club bid. It just says to partner, I've got a really strong hand. It doesn't say anything about clubs. It says I've got a strong hand. Partner, please don't pass. And here's responder's hand. Now, responder normally, we taught when we learned lesson 23, we say we normally respond 2 diamonds unless we've got a really good hand of our own. Now here we've got 8 high card points and we've got a good 5 card spade suit. So this is one of the situations where it is actually worth responder bidding 2 spades to show a good hand. And now alarm bell should be ringing that a slam is likely, or there may well be enough points for a slam. We don't yet know whether we have a trump fit, of course. So responder here should bid 2 spades to show their good spade suit. Opener now is really pleased to hear that news. They're delighted with the news that partner's got at least 5 cards in spades. They like spades, and they would simply bid 3 spades themselves. Now that sequence, we are forcing to game. We're automatically forcing to game now. There's no chance of either partner passing below the game level in spades, so we know that we must play in at least 4 spades. But here responder can tell actually there's a very high likelihood of there being a small slam available in spades, and they would proceed, and we'll show you how to do that in the next part of the lesson. But clearly this would be an indication to probably both partners now that there's a slam available here. Now actually, if you look at those cards, you can certainly make 12 tricks in spades, but you can also make 12 tricks in no trumps, as it happens, even though you've only got 32 high card points between you. And that's the power of that long spade suit. The 5 card spade suit is worth an extra trick, or will be worth an extra trick when it's played, and that will enable you to make 12 tricks here in either spades or no trumps. And we'll come back to how we would bid subsequently later on in the lesson. So slamming spades would certainly be possible here. Here's another example. Partner simply opens one of a suit, and ultimately if you've got trump support for them, and 16 or more high card points of your own, then there might be a very good chance that that there's a slam available here, particularly if you can find a trump fit. Okay, and that could even be if you've got a long suit of your own. Okay, so let's look at an example here. Opener has got a fairly normal hand. It's a nice shapely hand here. They've got I've only got 13 high card points, so they would open simply, that hand would be open one spade. That's your longest suit. You would bid one spade if you were the opener. Now, if you had this responding hand, you've got 20 high card points. You don't know exactly how many points your partner has. They could have 12. They might even be opening with 11 with certain hands. So you don't actually know there's enough high card points for a guaranteed slam yet. But your hand looks very good to you. You've got a nice long diamond suit here. You've got a shortage in hearts, so it might be good for roughing. And you may ultimately have a spade fit. You don't know yet. Partner's one spade opening could of course, is only promising 4 cards in spades at the moment. So here, responder would simply keep calm. They don't know that slam's available. They would just bid their normal natural reply, which is their longest suit, 2 diamonds. That shows at least 10 high card points and at least 4 cards in diamonds. And it says, at the moment, partner, I can't support your spades. If they had 4 spades, of course, they would immediately show spade support here. So now what does opener do here? Well, opener now has to bid another suit here. They've got an unbalanced hand. When you've got unbalanced hands, you typically try and find 2 different suit bids to describe your hands. They can't bid no trumps, of course. So here, opener's second suit is hearts. So they can simply bid 2 hearts. Now that isn't showing a strong hand. That's still showing just a hand that's strong enough to open the bidding. But it's showing now that they've got 4 cards in hearts. And given that they opened one spade, they must have a longer holding in the spade suit. So responder now knows that there is a spade fit. They now know that open has at least 5 spades, and so responder would now be thinking that there's a very good chance of a slam being available in the spade suit here. So a responder would now be thinking about a slam in spades, and we'll come back to how we might bid subsequently later on, but this would be a good indication to responder with their 20 high card points that a slam might be available here. Here's another example. If opener makes a strong rebid, so if opener opens with a suit and makes a strong rebid, and if responder's got 13 or more high card points themselves, then they would know that if opener's got enough points for a strong rebid, which normally shows 16 or more high card points, then there must be a very good chance of a slam being possible here. That you'd have at least 29 high card points, and if the hands are shapely and distributional, then clearly a slam could be possible here. So let's have a look at this example. Opener has this hand. They've got 17 high card points, a lovely hand. They would just simply open this with a bid of 1 diamond. Diamonds is their longest suit, so they would open 1 diamond. Here's responder's hand. 15 high card points. They can't be thinking about slam yet. They don't really know whether there's a trump fit available, and they would simply bid their longest suit at the moment. Now their longest suit is heart, so they just simply respond to 1 heart. Nobody's thinking about slam yet, but now the news that responder has a heart suit is good news for opener. They've got 17 high card points, a strong hand, so they should support hearts. They know that responder has at least 4 cards in hearts. They would now support hearts, but because they've got a strong hand, rather than just bidding 2 hearts, which would show a weakish opening hand, they've got a strong opening hand. They can bid 3 hearts. And by jumping to 3 hearts, they've now proved that there is a trump fit and that they also have quite a lot of points. Now responder would definitely be thinking a slam is possible because they know that their partner has at least 16 high card points. There is a good trump fit there. They have a golden card in partner's diamond suit, which must help in the play of the diamond suit when the hand is played. So responder would definitely be thinking there is a possible slam in hearts available to them here, and we'll look at how we bid subsequently in a moment. So if we want to make a suit slam, what is it, the things that we're really looking for? What makes the difference here to have a slam available? Well, firstly, we want to have a good trump fit, and we've seen examples of that already, or if one hand has just got excellent long trumps, they're not particularly worried about whether their partner has a trump fit for them or not. That's rarer. Also, of course, you'd need to have lots of strength. Often, just lots of strength in top cards. Or you could have a source of tricks of your own, such as a long side suit. So if you've got two suits, one suit is going to be the trumps, and you've got another good suit available to you. That's often a good source of tricks, and that would help you make a suit slam. And the other thing that's really useful is things, as we mentioned before, shortages in suits such as voids and singleton. They can help you rough that suit, even if you don't have all the top cards in that suit. You can take lots of tricks in that suit by trumping that particular suit using the shortages of voids and singletons. But the one thing you must have, of course, you're only allowed to lose one trick if you're going to make a 6-level slam, and you can't lose any tricks, of course, if you're going to make a grand slam. So it's very important if you're going to play at the 6th level that you haven't got two quick losers available. And the one thing you really mustn't have, even if you've got lots of points and lots of shape, the one thing you must avoid is that the opponents mustn't have two cashing aces. So if the opponents have got two aces and they are able to cash them and win tricks with them, then automatically you wouldn't be able to make your 12 trick contract. You would lose two tricks, and you would definitely be at least one off in your contract. Now, cashing ace, just to be clear there, just because the opponents have got an ace, it doesn't mean it's going to win a trick, because of course if you happen to be void in a suit, then even if they play the ace, you might be able to trump it. But what we're really looking for here is making sure that we're not missing two aces. If we're missing two aces, then it's very likely that a slam wouldn't be available to us unless we've got a really distributional freaky hand. Okay, and of course, what we're going to learn now is that there's a simple tool, a convention that we use called the Blackwood convention, and that's a way in which the partnership can check how many aces they've got between them, and that would assure them that there's a chance that the opponents haven't got two quick cashing aces, and the slam is definitely possible. So we're going to move on to that in part 2. So this is part 1. Join me in part 2, and we'll introduce you to the Blackwood convention, which is something we can use to ensure that we're not going to quickly lose two or more quick tricks.